Our chubby protagonist, Haruyuki Arita, is getting bullied by Arata and Co. through a neural linker. He uses a direct link in the bathroom and goes to a virtual fantasy world as a pig. His crush, the student council vice president, Haruyuki Hime, is there too. Haru is playing tennis when a cat girl, because of course, Chiyuri Kurashima calls him back to class. She tries to get him to rat out the bullies, but he ends up knocking over her food and runs away. He goes back to the tennis area and finds his high scores beaten by Haruyuki Hime. She calls him to the school lounge tomorrow. He goes there the next day and the two use a weird connection, something reserved for couples. She sends him the Brain Burst program. Arata comes along and Haruyuki Hime provokes him. Haru uses Burst Link before he gets punched. This causes his brain to function 1,000 times faster. Haru decides to take the punch. He falls on Yuki, making her bleed. Arata gets caught. Yuki tells him not to connect to the global net before Haru heads home. The next day, Haru asks his mother for money through the global net. He forgot about the warning. An armored biker challenges him as he steps out of his home. He gets beat pretty badly. Back at the lounge, Yuki tells him about the Brain Burst fighting game. They enter the game and Yuki gives him a rundown. The armor is designed by Haru's subconscious, based on his inferiority complex. Burst points are explained, and winning gets you more while accelerating makes you lose points. Lose all of them and you lose your burst forever. Yuki tells him he can quit this world, but Haru resolutely says that he will help her out no matter what. Back in the real world, Yuki is asked about her and Haru's relationship. She says she asked him out, but he rejected her. What a Chad. Haru is told to find Ash Roller and defeat him, so he accelerates and starts learning how to fight. Haru finds Ash and begins the fight with a kick to the face, then running away. Silver is rare with resistances and good close-range fighting. A faint color means a unique power, like Ash Roller. The fight turns to Ash's favor. Concerned, Haru uses his killer move, the headbutt. It fails miserably, but Haru doesn't give up. He grabs the back of the rear-wheel bike and wins. Back in the real world, Chiyu confronts Yuki about using Haru. A clash of words ensues and ends with Yuki declaring she's going on a date with Haru, leaving Chiyu. Yuki explains legions and how to attain level 10. Currently, a peace treaty exists between the 6 kings of pure color. There used to be 7 until 2 years ago, when Yuki, the Black King, destroyed the Red King. She's been in hiding ever since. Level 10 burst linkers can meet the creator, which is why Yuki risked it all. Yuki explains that she has been off the global net for 2 years, but she was attacked on the local network for the school, even with her true identity hidden through a dummy avatar. It seems the assailant has locked all changes, a feat only possible for someone who can hack the system or knows the creator. The person is Cyan Pile. Haruyuki Hime plans to have Haru judge the attacker's direction and detect who the student is. She reveals that Chiyu may be the one stalking her. Haru goes to Chiyu's place and asks her to cable link with him. Haru searches her programs and apologizes for the lunch. Chiyu reveals that she has worried about him too. She complains that Haru has been distant. He states that it's because she and Taku had started dating and he feels inferior between the two. She embraces him and says he's probably changed. Haru discovers a back door to her system. Haru closes the program before he's discovered, and Chiyu asks him to date Haruyuki Hime, while she's harboring obvious feelings for him. Next morning, Haruyuki Hime apologizes to Haru for accusing his friend. He then tells her he's cable-linked with her, and she's super jealous. Haruyuki Hime rushes off after finding out he cable-linked in her room with a short cable. After school, Haruyuki Hime apologizes to Haru for storming off, and she uses a new short cable to link with him. He tells her about the back door before lashing out at her for thinking she likes him. Haruyuki Hime cries and smacks Haru before calling him an idiot. Right before a car is about to land on the two burst link and realize Arata is driving, using the accident for revenge. Haruyuki Hime promises to protect him and tells him about a power she can use. She confesses that she loves him and that she believes he'll one day be the fastest linker in the Accel world. She kisses him and uses a full physical burst to push Haru out of the way right before the car crashes onto her. Haruyuki Hime is hospitalized in critical condition. Haru realizes she could be attacked, so he stays to protect her. Taku shows up the next day, arousing Haru's suspicions. He realizes Taku is Cyan Pile. They make contact and burst link. Haru confronts him and he reveals that he got the program from his kendo captain who's close to the Blue King. The battle begins and Haru loses his arm instantly. He retreats to the roof. Haru gets an advantage over Taku using his speed, but loses a foot in the battle. Taku sends Haru down to the first floor with near zero health. Taku turns to the crowd while Haru wallows in self-pity. Haru realizes he's in Kuroyuki Hime's room. He apologizes to her and states he wanted to fly with her. Haru puts his head on her chest and hears Kuroyuki Hime's heart beating, reigniting his will to fight. His will causes his avatar to grow wings. Haru becomes the first flying avatar in the Accel world. Haru grabs Taku and takes him to the air. Taku tries to save himself, but he realizes what he was doing is wrong and tries to fall. Haru saves him and asks him to become his ally. Taku is taken aback, but he resolves to make amends. Haru brings him down and sees Kuroyuki Hime waiting for him. Kuroyuki Hime faces Taku and shows him her true form, him and the rest of the world. Haru takes her to the sky where she proclaims that she will rebel and fight. Back in the hospital room, Haru and Kuroyuki Hime are reunited, and she asks him to call her by her first name. Kuroyuki Hime introduces herself as nothing. Episode end. Cliffhanger time. Taku confronts two samurai, Kobal and Marga, stating that if he can defeat them, he can go to the Black King. Taki somehow bears their attacks. The Blue Knight, Vanquish, stays his execution. Haru meets Kuroyuki Hime. The two have an adorable moment before going to the roof. He tells Kuroyuki Hime about how the reveal to Chiyu went. Taku and Haru are seen battling together, and Haru ends up leveling to level 2. Haru levels up, which reduces his burst points to 8. Taku explains that leveling up is risky, and tells Haru to duel him for his points, but Haru refuses, saying there would be no honor in that. Taku respects his decision and tells him not to log into the global net before they come up with a plan. Chiyu shows up and gets treated to ice cream. The three meet up and Taku gets the idea to hire a bouncer. Taku and Haru meet up and talk about Aqua Current, a level 1 bouncer. Haru goes to meet with him. He satisfies the bouncer's condition of revealing his identity and stumbles on a girl who turns out to be Aqua Current. Haru cable links with her while Taku goes to Kuroyuki Hime's room. She burst links. Taku is challenged by Kuroyuki Hime. Current advises Haru on how to approach the fight. Meanwhile, Taku is getting his butt kicked by Kuroyuki Hime. She confronts Taku and reveals his thoughts of wanting to help Haru before eventually uninstalling Burst Link to atone. He asks her what he should do and begins to fight properly. Haru realizes his silver color is resistant to poison and weak to electricity. The opponents prepare a vacuum attack and Current moves out of the way. Haru moves to land a kick but is blocked by electricity. Current steps in between the electricity attack. Haru utilizes the opportunity and goes in for the kill. Kuroyuki Hime defeats Taku. After the fight, Current states that she won't be seeing Haru again and proceeds to take her bonus payment. She challenges Haru to a fight. Clever girl. Haru refuses to fight, saying he doesn't want to fight someone he believes in like he did with his best friend. Current was testing Haru and reveals some information about her past before using a memory leak to remove some memories of her from Haru. Haru wakes up confused at the table with only a cable in front of him and a loss of memories. Next day, Taku joined Haru in Chiyu's school. The trio fights for expansion, but Haru's predictable moves result in him getting shot down. So he starts training to avoid anti-aircraft fire. Haru's second cousin, Tomoko Saito, shows up. Pretty freaking adorable. In the bathroom, Haru is checking whether she's really his cousin. Tomoko shows up during his search. I'm glad real little sisters aren't like that. Haru sees the tan mark of a neurolinker on her neck, even though she said she doesn't use one. He calls her out on it, and she's revealed to be Scarlet Rain, the second Red King. Yuniko Kozuki challenges Haru to a duel. Her armor is extremely large as compared to Silver Crow, but Haru doesn't run. He tries to outmaneuver the fort-like armor but ends up running from the AoE attack. Right when he launches his super kick, Yuniko gets out of her fort and he misses. Yuniko wins and asks him to arrange a meeting with Black Lotus. Next day, Haru tells Kuroyuki Hime the entire story. Kuroyuki Hime ends up recalling the Red Rider, the prior Red King. Haru grabs her hand and tells her he'd never fight or betray her. Kuroyuki Hime and Haru talk with Taku about this situation. Kuroyuki Hime tells Haru about an execution move available to Legion Kings, the Judgment Blow. Legion members who get hit by that move lose all their points. Yuniko's plan was to manipulate Haru into joining the Red Legion and using that move, but luckily he figured out who she was. Haru and Kuroyuki Hime go to his house to meet the Red King. Taku shows up too. Haru definitely needed help with that tension in the year. Yuniko then told him how she figured out Haru's identity and that she needed help with defeating the armor of Catastrophe. A bit of cable shenanigans later, Kuroyuki Hime shows Haru the armor of Catastrophe through her memory of the fight between the Chrome Disaster and the Seven Kings of Color. The Armor of Catastrophe is an external armament worn by the Chrome Disaster that has a will of its own and corrupts burst linkers. 4 have appeared before, and now the 5th has been corrupted. Yuniko plans on using a judgment blow to capture the Chrome Disaster. She offers to get her crew to leave the Black Legion alone in turn. Yuniko also plans on staying at Haru's place, so Kuroyuki Hime does the same. Cat fight! Cat fight! Kuroyuki Hime and Haru walk to school together while Yuniko figures out the location of the disaster. Chiyu also catches them having a time moment in the elevator. Cat fight! Cat fight! Chiyu is told why Kuroyuki Hime is staying over, and she suggests having the Brain Burst program installed. Kuroyuki Hime tells them that it can only be installed by a guardian once, even if the installation fails. Haru heads home and talks to Nico about Kuroyuki Hime. Nico admits she finds her cool. They also talk about the theory other kings have that the Brain Burst would be uninstalled from everyone if someone reaches level 10. The Chrome Disaster is heading towards Ikebukuro. The 4 head to the neural field with no time limit. The 3 hitch a ride on Haru and follow the train to Ikebukuro. There are monsters that exist in the Accel world who burst linkers hunt for points. Other ways to earn points is to attack the burst linkers who come to hunt. The group is attacked on the way and Haru makes a rough landing. The enemy is a gang of burst linkers led by Yellow Radio, the Yellow King. Yellow King is revealed to be the one who hid the Armor of Catastrophe and gave it to Crimson Rook, Nico's underling. And he's chosen Nico to bear the consequences of the Chrome Disaster harming his Legion members. Yellow Radio asks Kuroyuki Hime to sit out, but when she refuses, he opens a voice recording of that moment Black Lotus killed the Red King. This causes her to start to break down and she loses consciousness. The Linkers prepare to attack. Our group tries to retreat with Haru carrying Kuroyuki Hime, but Yellow Radio blocks the attempt by casting an illusion on the field. Taku shields Haru and Nico from everyone. He creates an opening by sacrificing himself. Haru and Nico chose to fight rather than run, so Taku sacrificed himself for no reason. Nico goes ballistic. The two give a strong fight, but soon Haru gets pinned and the Linkers start stripping Nico's armor. Haru calls out to Kuroyuki Hime in the dire situation and somehow makes her gain consciousness. Kuroyuki Hime swiftly dispatches the cannon fodder before turning her sights toward Yellow Radio. An astounding fight begins, but a twist occurs as soon as both kings have their moves charged. Chrome Disaster appears and stabs the Yellow King in the back. The Yellow King escapes somehow, so the Disaster starts slaughtering other Linkers. Kuroyuki Hime attacks him. Haru joins the battle, but Kuroyuki Hime is shot down by Nico. She states that you can trust no one in Accel world, and after dispatching Chromie, she'll be coming after the two. Kuroyuki Hime calls out her bluff and tells Haru to go help Nico as she gets caught by the Disaster. Haru intervenes and the Disaster leaps away. Silver Crow heads after him. A strong resemblance to Spider-Man. Haru makes him stick to his wings and counters the Disaster's leap, driving him into a wall. Haru gets the upper hand with his wings and slams the Disaster into the ground, defeating Crimson Rook. Nico delivers the final blow. Nico reveals that she was abandoned by her parents, like Crimson Rook, and how she met Crimson. Haru comforts Nico. Kuroyuki Hime comes along. The two have a catfight, and Taku appears again. Seems like the armor didn't end up in anyone's storage. It's as if for a moment, Haru is able to hear the armor. Back at home, it looks like Nico is still at Haru's place. Nico tells him about her friend, and the two have a pretty adorable moment. Chiyu is about to get the Brain Burst program installed. Haru logs on to Chiyu's home server. She's a bit worried about how the nightmare where the avatar is created will end up. Haru comforts her and she ends up sleeping. In school, a new burst linker seems to have appeared during the welcome speech for the new year. In class, Haru, Taku, and Chiyu burst link. Chiyu gets the avatar Lime Bell. Chiyu tests her killer move, Citron Call, which ends up being a healing move. Now all we need is a mage. She's one of only 3 healers in the history of Accel World. Meanwhile, Taku decides to join Nega Nebulous to be with everyone. Kuroyuki Hime goes on a school trip and tells Haru to take care of the territory battles. The reward for doing so will be anything Haru wants. And he thinks of food first before nudity. Haru bumps into a junior. He meets the same student, Seiji Nomi, at Taku's kendo tournament. Nomi fights Taku and Nomi ends up winning. Haru is suspicious that he's a burst linker, but his name doesn't pop up when Haru checks. Haru, Taku, and Chiyu discuss whether Nomi may be a burst linker. Taku demonstrates the use of the physical burst command to increase his reaction time by 10 for 3 seconds. Haru tells Kuroyuki Hime about the situation while Taku confronts Nomi about his curious strength. Haru asks Kuroyuki Hime to show him her moves from Okinawa as a reward. Weak demand, Haru my dear. Haru intends to get evidence about Nomi being a burst linker, so he follows him after Kendo Club to the shower room. He goes to the wrong shower room. He meets Chiyu in the girls' shower. For the sake of my monetization, skip! Haru gets a well-deserved lashing from Chiyu afterwards. In class, Haru gets a letter to meet alone. Nomi reveals he knows who Silver Crow is, and he has a video of Haru entering the girls' shower room. Chiyu shows up and says she'll testify for Haru and hence his blackmail won't work. But Nomi has more blackmail planned as he's hidden a camera in the bathroom and he'll pin the blame on Haru. Just then, the camera is discovered and the school goes on alert. The two duke it out with fists using a physical burst. Haru gets decked. Nomi bursts links and duels Haru right after. Dusk Taker is his avatar. He's taken points by blackmailing others as well. Haru seems to have the upper hand but quickly loses it. Nomi uses Demonic Commander and steals Haru's wings. Haru loses both the battle and his wings. Taku notices how distraught Chiyu and Haru are, so he shows up to Haru's place. One thing leads to another and somehow the two end up fighting about Taku's love life. When he accuses him of abandoning Chiyu and going after Kuroyuki Hime, Taku hits him and leaves. Haru starts thinking about uninstalling Brain Burst to protect Chiyu. With some resolve, Haru goes to the Green Legion's area to duel. Our old friend Ash Rider shows up. Ash kicks Haru and gets a bit worried about Haru not flying. Haru, depressed, asks Ash to beat him. Ash gets off his bike and reminds Haru of the time he beat him without wings. Ash asks him to go to the neutral field the next day and ends the fight in a draw. Ash takes Haru on a ride to the old Tokyo Tower in the neutral field to meet his guardian, the burst linker that came closest to flying in Accel world, Skyraker. Haru asks if she can help him get his wings back. She said that's impossible, but she still has a way for him to fly. She says the scar is a hole in your heart which the avatar embodies. She says those wings were just for show, that his flying ability came from his heart. The image power is the true power within burst linkers, and she plans to use this incarnate system to have Haru fly again. On the second day, Sky knocks him down the tower, and he has to climb all the way back up to the top. Haru spends his time figuring out the incarnate system as he tries to climb to the top. Kuroyuki Hime was Skyraker's only friend. After a few days, Haru reaches the top. He's overridden the rules of the world. She says she'll give him her armament, Gale Thrasher, to replace his wings for the time being. Sky meets Haru in the real world and gives the armament to him. Haru realizes she has artificial legs at that time. He resolves to give her the armament back when he gets his wings, and says that Kuroyuki Hime is certainly still waiting for her, that she hasn't lost her friend. Haru gets a dive call, so he direct links and sees Kuroyuki Hime on the beach. Ah yes, the Humboldt Beach episode. Every anime must have one, so let's see how this one turns out. Haru sees the scar Kuroyuki Hime got when she protected him and resolves to get stronger still. On the school track, Haru sees Taku burst link. He challenges Dusk Taker and Haru follows suit. Taku intends to take Haru's wings back from Nomi. The fight begins and Taku quickly corners Nomi, but he starts charging a move. Taku hits him with his special, which Nomi intercepts, and the tables quickly turn. Haru realizes that Nomi used the incarnate system. Haru intervenes as Nomi is about to finish him off and offers his own points instead of Taku's. Nomi agrees and a battle royale mode pops up. Haru and Nomi accept, but Haru intends to fight. The fight begins with Haru utilizing the incarnate system and Nomi loses his arm. Nomi takes flight. He gains the advantage, but Haru uses Gale Thruster and evens the playing field. The two clash with their ideals. Haru dives Nomi towards the ground and Taku uses his killer move to deal the final blow. Chiyu looks from above. Just before Haru can get his wings back, she uses Citron Call and heals Nomi. Megumi and Kuroyuki Hime relax on the beach. Ah yes, the fabled fan service episode. Kuroyuki Hime and Megumi walk around Onikawa. Megumi talks about a book while Kuroyuki Hime remembers Haru. She splits with Megumi and goes to buy gifts. Just then, she is involved in a duel with Lagoon Dolphin, aka Ruka Asato and Mana Itotsu. Kuroyuki Hime beats her quickly. Kuroyuki Hime advises Ruka about fighting and then asks her to meet in a coffee shop. A monster seems to have appeared and they need Kuroyuki Hime's help in dealing with it. Kuroyuki Hime agrees. Kuroyuki Hime ends up being late in meeting Megumi and couldn't buy the present either. Megumi is upset and goes to her room. Kuroyuki Hime feels guilty and tells her about her other life, albeit vaguely. She thanks Megumi for being the one to anchor her to this world. Megumi is about to reveal something, but the committee meeting ends up cutting the conversation short. Kuruyuki Hime burst links with Mana and Ruka. After Mana requests another link cable, they go to meet their master, who's drinking at a bar. His name is Kriken, an acquaintance of Kuruyuki Hime. Kriken tells her how he came to Onikawa and then installed the program into Ruka and then through her to Mana. Just then, a monster shows up, and so does Megami, in the real world. The legendary monster, Nizhogg, seems to have been tamed by another monster. Kuruyuki Hime goes to confront it. Kriken calls it Nick. A burst linker named Sulphurpot is riding the beast. Kriken and Kuruyuki Hime engage while Ruka and Mana gather scrap metal. Kriken goes towards the pile while Kuruyuki Hime gets hit by Nizhogg's killer move. Kriken uses the metal to awaken and turn into a Gund robot. A giant robot. Transformers more than meets the eye. Kriken gains an upper hand, but Sulphur and Nick turn the tables, destroying his robot. Meanwhile, Megami is stopped from unplugging Kuruyuki Hime's cable by a ghost that tells her to connect the spare cable. She enters the duel. Megami is a former burst linker, according to Kuruyuki Hime. She transitions the stage to the ocean before leaving. The girls attack in unison and cause Sulphur to drop off from Nick. Nick turns on Sulphur and destroys him before leaving. Kriken finds the Mystical Rains armament, which Sulphur used, and gives it to Kuruyuki Hime. The trip ends and Kuruyuki Hime heads back to Tokyo. Meanwhile, Megami has forgotten all about her dive. Back to Dusktaker, after he gets healed. Taku attacks Nomi in a rage and gets destroyed. Haru loses his temper at the sight and succumbs to a voice. A dark aura envelops him. The armor of catastrophe has taken over. The time ends, and Haru is transported back to the real world. He goes to attack Nomi, but Taku stops him. The two meet Chiyu. She says she went to Nomi herself and joined up with him for burst points. She leaves right after. Haru and Taku discuss the situation at home. The two resolve to defeat Nomi and uncover the truth. To increase their odds, Haru tells Taku about the incarnate system. Haru has a nightmare about trapping Kuruyuki Hime. The armor seems to be getting to him. Haru uses a dive call to talk to Kuruyuki Hime. The two talk about missing each other and Kuruyuki Hime embraces him. Taku and Haru talk about who'd be able to tell them about the incarnate system and realize that Nico may be able to help. Haru gets interrogated by Sugeno in school. Later, he gets interrogated by a classmate who beats him for suspecting that he's the one who put a camera in the girls' shower room. The bullying continues, but Haru resolves to go through it. Taku and Haru go to meet Nico, and Haru tells Taku about how Nomi set him up on the way. Haru asks Nico to tell Taku how to use the incarnate system. Nico eventually agrees, and the three head to Accel World to train. They learn about the 4 basic types of incarnate skills: expanded weapon range, movement, offensive power, and increased armor strength. But Nico doesn't know the latter two. The type of incarnate skills you can acquire depend on the nature of the avatar. Taku talks about being bullied in Kendo, and his pile driver may have come out due to the scar left from the bullying. Nico tells Haru to name his incarnate skill so he can form the image quicker. Haru leaves Accel World, and the waitress calls out to him by his avatar name. She reveals herself as Blood Leopard, and that Nico asked her to help him. She tells him about intruders on a local network breaking in from a network in Akibahara, the Yellow Legion's territory. The two headed to a dive cafe and direct link to Akibahara Battleground. She asks the matchmaker about the linkers who can hide their names on the matching list. The master tells them about Rust Jigsaw, another such individual who needs to be stopped. Blood Leopard decides to tag with Haru to lure out Rust Jigsaw. Rust Jigsaw appears and the battle begins. Rust attacks and the two head to him, but Rust has a close range counter. Blood drains Haru's energy gauge and changes shape to a leopard. They attack and defeat Rust. Kitty definitely got claws. The two log out and quickly go to find his real identity. Haru sees him but gets interrupted before they can close in. Haru realizes that there may be another device rather than a neural linker. He starts looking for devices that precede the neural linker and discovers the brain implant chip. Haru approaches Nomi and reveals he knows about the illegal biochip. Haru threatens him, stating that he'll be expelled once the school finds out. Haru states that they can resolve this in the Accel World. Nomi proposes a battle in the Unlimited Field, a wager for all their points. Taku comes to Haru's place with Chiyu in tow. She asks them to take her to the field with them, or she'll wait there for years. Taku agrees, planning to believe in Chiyu. The three enter the field, and Nomi appears as well. He brings the Sudden Death Duel card. The program will uninstall on a loss. The fight begins. An intruder appears. Haru gets caught in the trap. The intruder used the chip to decelerate and hence didn't have to wait for months for an ambush. Haru's voice command is also blocked. Meanwhile, Nomi takes Taku on. Taku takes out a blade instead of his impaler. Dusk does the same and a sword fight ensues. Taku takes the upper hand and takes down Dusk. Literally an upper hand. Arm? Close enough. Nomi's hatred for his elder brother comes out, and how he was bullied by him, and how he stole his ability and mercilessly ripped his brother apart until he lost the program. Nomi then grabs Chiyu, ripping her apart slowly. Taku gives himself up to protect her. Nomi takes advantage of this and starts beating him up. Haru is enraged, and that causes him to lose the will to fight. In despair, he thinks of Kuruyuki Hime. Haru's outer armor breaks, and he breaks out of the trap. He rushes towards Nomi but falls before he can reach. Just as Nomi's about to deliver the finishing blow, Kuruyuki Hime shows up to save the day. That entrance was extremely cool. Talk about presentation. Kuruyuki Hime tamed a legendary enemy and reached the field from Okinawa. The intruder is revealed to be Black Vice, vice president of the Acceleration Research Club, an acquaintance of Sulphur Pot. Kuruyuki Hime takes on Black Vice and tells Haru to defeat Dusk Taker. After an exchange of words, Silver Crow and Dusk Taker take to the skies to fight. Haru has Nomi on the ropes, but just before the finishing blow, Chiyu heals Nomi. Nomi's about to impale Haru, but just then, his wings disappear, shifting back to Haru, the rightful owner, while Nomi falls to the ground. Using Gale Thruster with his wings, Haru impales and completely destroys Nomi. Chiyu tells Nomi her power isn't healing, but rather the power to turn back time. She used her powers to go back to the time before Nomi had his wings taken, and she used Nomi to level up and increase the amount by which she could turn back time until this chance. In desperation, Nomi tells Black Vice to help him or he'll reveal everything about the chip and the research club. Vice simply states that the chip will dissolve once he loses Brain Burst. Stating this, Vice retreats. Nomi starts desperately asking how to spread, but Haru delivers the final blow. Kuruyuki Hime reaches out to everyone and thanks Chiyu for telling her about everything beforehand. Definitely a smart one here. Haru goes to meet Kuruyuki Hime at the train station, and the two go to talk about everything that happened, including Sky Raker. Kuruyuki Hime embraces Haru tightly. She gives him his reward. He asks for her to always be by his side. She's taken aback, an obvious misunderstanding, but she promises to stay with him for eternity. Haru gets apologized by the people who bullied him after his name is cleared by Kuruyuki Hime. Haru sees Nomi and approaches him. He seems to have forgotten all about Brain Burst. No one seems to know why the application can delete memories. The group simply resolves to become level 10 and ask the creator themselves. Kuruyuki Hime promises not to forget Haru, and Haru promises the same. Haru also called Sky Raker to give her wings back to her. Sky leaves without saying a word to Kuruyuki Hime. This makes Kuruyuki Hime call her by her name, Fuko. She replies with Sachan, and the two embrace. That was a pretty wholesome ending. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you at the next one.